Okay. Today, in this video, I'm going to go over solving linear equations. If you could label your paper like I have it set up here. So in the heading, call it linear solving, and then name, date, hour in the upper right. So the objectives is to be able to solve equations and then boxing the solution. We'll also be able to explain how to solve an equation using the stem. First you blank, then you blank. Okay, so all the problems in this section are going to ask you to solve. So before we actually start solving, I want to explain how we do solve equations. So to solve equations, we use, you guys are familiar with the order of operations. We say PEMDAS means parentheses come first, then exponents, then multiplying and dividing, which are these two, then adding and subtraction, which are those two. Okay, and that's how we do our order of operations in math, right? This is the order that we do things in. When you're solving, it's sort of the reverse of that. In other words, it really is written like this. So subtraction comes first. Then, so that's the S, so subtraction, then addition, then multiply, then divide, and then then exponents, exponents, and then lastly, the parentheses, so the P. Okay, so this is the order that we use to solve equations. And I like to look at the, I have to think of it as the acronym SAD MEP. So if we just swap those two around, we would see that acronym. Next to my problems, you'll probably see me write this. SA for subtract and add. DM, because those two go together, division and multiply, then EP. So next to every problem, I like to write that just so that I remember to use this order, okay? So I remember to first undo addition, subtraction, then undo multiplying and dividing, then undo exponents, and then take care of parentheses, okay? So I just like to write that next to each problem so that I remember to do it. So it's SAD MEP. Okay, so I'm going to do a first example. So again, I'm going to write my SAD MEP out. So in the first one, it says x minus 2 equals 10. First, I like to draw a line down the middle of the equal to sign. You might hear me refer to this as the fence, because it kind of acts as a barrier between the left side of your equation and the right side. Whatever you do to one side of that fence or that line, you must do to the other. It's like a mirror, okay? Whatever you do on one side, it's gonna happen on the other, okay? So in this one, I have x minus 2 equals 10. So first, what operation is going on between x and 2? So it's this one, subtracting. Well, how do we undo subtracting? We're going to add. Good. So addition undoes subtraction. So I'm going to add 2 to both sides. So the whole reason is that these 2's go away because negative 2 plus 2 is 0. So I get x all by itself equals 10 plus 2 is 12. So I get x equals 12. And if you wanted to double check your work for solving, you can absolutely do that. You can do a little check just to make sure your solution is correct. So we can say, I know x minus 2 has to equal 10. So if I plug my solution in there, 12 minus 2, does that equal 10? And that sure does. So that means we have done this problem correctly. Okay, the next problem, x divided by 3 equals 2. I'm going to set it up the same way. I'm going to write my SAD MEP out. So I'm going to write SAD, SAD MEP. I'm going to keep referring to this over and over again. Okay, so first in this problem, is there any addition or subtraction? So I have x divided by 3 equals 2. I don't see any addition or subtraction there. So I'm not using this column right now. There's no addition or subtraction. But there is division, right? We have division. So I'm going to draw my line or my fence. And I'm dividing x by what number? Notice I'm dividing it by 3. So that means I should multiply both sides by 3. So what that does, when you multiply by 3, it cancels this 3 and that 3 out. So now on this side, since my 3's went away, I have x all by itself, which is exactly what I wanted. But now I got to make sure I got to do 2 times 3, which is 6. So here my answer is x equals 6. And again, you can always double check your answer by plugging in the value you got for x. So I can do a little check here. And I won't do a check for every problem. So x divided by 3 equals 2. So I'll check, does 6 divided by 3 equals 2? And then sure enough, it does. So 2 equals 2. Okay. Okay, so the next example. So now you can have more than one operation going on. Like before, in those first 2 examples, all we had in the first one was subtraction and addition. In the second one, all we had was multiplying and dividing. So in this one, we're going to sort of mix. We're going to have more than one operation. So we're going to have to do more than one step to solve it. Okay, so I'm still going to write out my SAD MEP. Now, I have 4x divided by -5 equals 2. You could definitely start by drawing the fence or drawing the line. And when I say 4x divided by 5, the thing that you're going to want to start with is you're going to want to start with undoing the division. So we're dividing by 5. To undo the division by 5, what operation do I need to use? Right? So there is no addition subtraction. I'm not adding or subtracting anything. So to undo the division by -5, I have to multiply both sides and be very careful. It has to be the exact same as what's in the denominator. So since -5 is in the denominator, I have to multiply by -5. Multiplying by 5 will lead you to a wrong answer. So you need to multiply by exactly what you see in the denominator. So since I see -5, I'll multiply both sides by -5. And now what that does is cancels this 5 with that 5. So this gets you 4x equals 2 times -5 is -10. Now, if I have 4x, a number next to a letter, that means multiply. So to undo multiply, you need to divide. So divide both sides by 4. So that means x is -10 over 4. So if we simplify that a little bit, this reduces to, these are both divisible by 2. So it reduces to -5/2. Okay. Okay, so the next one, 2x divided by 3 equals -2. I want you to try to do that one. You will need to pause the video and give that one a try. So go ahead and pause it and give 2x divided by 3 equals -2. Give it a try. Remember, write your SAD map out. We'll go over this one in the live session. Okay, this one's very similar. You still have two different operations going on. I will tell you what, I will leave you to do the one on the left this time, and I'm going to do the one on the right. So the one on the right is a little different than the one on the left. So I'm going to write my SAD map out. Now, this time I have -3 minus 2x equals -25. Notice, notice the -3 here comes first, and it's my constant term. So the first thing I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to move my constant over to that side of the line. And the reason being is that this is a constant and this is a constant. Since those are what we call like terms, since they both are constants, neither of them have a variable. The -3 doesn't have a variable, and the -25 doesn't have a variable. So there's no x with it, there's no y with it, there's nothing with it, just the number. So I'm going to move it, since it's just a number, I'm going to move that first to the other side. So this number that I'm moving is -3. So how do we move a negative? So how do we undo a negative? And the answer to that is to undo -3, we need to add 3. So undoing a negative by adding. So +3. And that equals -25 plus 3. Okay, so I added 3 sides to 3. I added 3 to both sides of my equation. Now what that does, -3 plus 3, that's 0. So those are gone. Now -2. Now I'm left. I have -2x on the left, and that -25 plus 3 is -22. So I took care of my subtraction and addition. Now let's look. Do we have multiplying and dividing? So notice I have -2x equals -22. So the operation, remember, a number next to a letter means multiply. So to get rid of multiplying -2 by x, I need to divide everything by -2. Remember, it's negative, so you need to include the negative sign. It's -2, so it needs to include the negative sign. So now when I do that, these cancel, they're gone. So -2 divided by -2, if you did that in your calculator, you'd get +1. So I get x equals, and then -22 divided by -2 is +11. So I want you to try the one on the left. Okay, before we do the next two problems, I want to review with you distributive property. So the distributive property, take a minute and think, take a second and think, refers to what operation? Addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division? Which of those four does distributive property refer to? Okay, so if you said it refers to multiplying, you are correct. So distributive property means multiply. So let me show you an example where we have to use the distributive property. So here's your example. I have two of them. So I got 3x, I got 3 times So the 3 next to parentheses means multiply. 3 times 3x minus 1 equals 12. So first step in this problem is to distribute the 3. So I'm going to do 3 times 3. 3 times 3 is 9. So this is 9x. And then be very careful when you distribute to the next term, it's got to include the sign. So that sign is negative 1. So I'm going to distribute the 3 to the negative 1. 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. And then we'll set that equal to 12. And this is just an equation, 9x minus 3 equals 12. So let's write our SAT map, and let's use it. So do we see subtraction or addition here? Yes, we have subtracting by 3. So to undo it, we need to add 3. So I'm going to plus 3 to both sides. So these 3's are 0. So those are gone. So I get 9x equals 15. Okay, so we still have another operation going on here. We have 9 times x. So now we're in the second column. So multiplying and dividing. So what undoes multiplying by x? Dividing by x. I'm going to divide both sides by 9. So I get x equals 15 over 9. In your calculator, if you're going to have to simplify that, if you put it in your calculator, it will likely give you a decimal. But if you wanted to simplify it as a fraction, 5 and 9 are both divisible by 3. Sorry, 15 and 9 are both divisible by 3. So this will get you 5/3, or for you decimal people, be 1.6, approximately 1.67. If you like decimals. Okay, so I want you to try the one on the right. So go ahead and pause the video and give that one a try. Okay, the last two that I want to go over involve having variables on both sides, but it's going to work pretty similar to what we just did. So I'm going to write my SAD map. Okay, and I'm going to start with my constants. I'm going to move them. So remember, the constants are the things that have no letter or no variable with them. So it's just a number with nothing with it. So in the left side, I have x minus 5, and on the right side, I have 2x minus 6. So I'm going to start by moving, doesn't matter really which way you move things. I'll start with adding 5 to both sides. So according to my SAD maps, I undid my addition and subtractions. So this is going to be, these 5's go away. So I got x equals 2x minus 6. Or no. I got to simplify. So negative 6 plus 5 is negative 1. So I get x equals 2x minus 1. Now, if I go back to SAD map, since I did this process once, I'm going to do it again. Notice now I have x's on both sides though. So I'm not going to want to divide anything by x or anything by that 2. Really what I want to do is I want to move this one to the other side. So I want to take the 2x and move it because I want all my x's to be on the same side. So in order to get rid of that 2x, I want it to be gone from the right. I don't want to see it at all. I need to subtract. So I'm going to subtract 2x. So what that does is on the right side, 2x minus 2x, well, anything minus itself is 0. So I get 0 and then minus 1. So I'm left with -1. So these canceled out. Now, in front of this x, it will be helpful to see it as a 1. So, so if you see just a variable without a number, you can assume that there's a 1 there. So now I can do 1 minus 2. Well, 1 minus 2 is -1, and then we have our x's still. And this, so I have -1x equals -1. Now, we want it just to say x. We don't want to say -1x. So we need to divide by what we're multiplying by. So since we're multiplying by a negative, we need to divide by a negative. So this is, these negative ones cancel, and I'm left with just x. And a negative divided by a negative is positive. So -1 divided by -1 is +1. So my answer here is x equals 1. So I want you to try the one on the right. So go ahead and pause the video and give that one a try. So hopefully you had a second to pause the video, give it a try. We'll go over that one in the live meet. So I have some practice for you. Some more practice with these is on page 49, 12 to 22 even. If you have those done, make sure to have those done before you get to our live session, and we'll go over them. If you have questions, please always remember you can email me, send me a message through Remind, or send me a message through Google Classroom.